That's enough of the dance party. Thank you very much, everyone, and welcome to the Streakers On Podcast Live Edition.
Live.
Ooh, live. We're doing it live.
We're doing it live. Now, right before we get into the start of the show, just as a quick reminder, no bad language or profanity in the comments. This is the Streakers Island, not Sailors Island. Any comments that cross the line will be tossed overboard. Whoosh.
Ouch.
That's all on you, more for.
I didn't say anything. I said ouch.
No, you're the one's going to throw them overboard.
Oh, okay, yeah. Overboard? Not.
I'll throw the, and I won't throw the life preserver.
Oh.
Be like the Titanic.
The rain never bothered me.
Yeah, it's kind of a bad one, but anyway.
So interesting here. Things have changed a little bit since we were last talking about this game. Ottawa is now the favorite over Winnipeg.
I'm not surprised.
So a 4.5 point edge, but that line, it's getting a little interesting. Obviously we know Ottawa's coming off that huge win against Toronto, and I am going to do our first ever live edition of Gas or Ass. If the Blue Bombers lose this game, they are the worst team in the West.
Gas.
Gas or ass?
Gas.
Lane's saying gas. What about you, more for?
I'm going to say ass.
Why ass? Because I'm also on Lane's side. This is gas all day.
You beat the RedBacks. You're like way worse than the Edmonton, because at least Edmonton's competitive. This team has not been. My argument, Edmonton has a worse record, but I feel like they've at least been competitive in the season. There's been a lot of close games.
No, when I was saying ass, I wasn't thinking because of Edmonton. I was thinking because of BC. I still think.
What?
Yeah, I still think Nathan York's going to blow it up somehow.
Already, we have another version of gas or ass. Dan is completely clueless when it comes to the BC Lions.
Gas.
Or ass.
Gas.
Gas all day, baby. That's that 94 octane that even I can't afford. That's how much gas that is. Stan, you can't say BC is the worst team in the West.
Not right now, but your question was if Winnipeg loses the game, are they the worst? And I think if Winnipeg loses this game, I don't think our season's done yet.
That wasn't the question. If they lose this game, remember, everyone's been all over Toronto for blowing a 21-point lead, and rightfully so, I do want to add. Winnipeg did just blow a 17-point lead.
Right.
You could argue that's just as bad.
For sure.
They did blow it to Calgary, which Calgary, I think, has a tier 1 offense. But still, Winnipeg here, you've lost 4 of your last 5. Your defense is allowing 10.7 yards per play over the last 5 games. They also lead the lead in turnovers. Like, what is happening?
I still think Winnipeg can figure it out.
I don't.
But I'm saying if they lose this game, they are arguably the worst team in the West. And depending how that Toronto-Edmonton game goes, I may be truthfully Winnipeg is in jeopardy because they really care about my opinion. That they could be in jeopardy of being at the bottom of my power rankings. And I understand they're 4-4, but 2 of the games they won, they didn't even play well. Like, I actually think Edmonton is playing better football than Winnipeg right now.
I agree with that.
Getting some key plays and key moments, right? Because that's the only other team I think you could really argue is worse than Winnipeg in the West is the Elks.
Like, Dan, here's what I don't understand. I think, and Jacob's brought this up before, like, why are you expecting mediocrity from the Winnipeg Blue Bombers? You keep saying, well, they're going to get it together. We're almost halfway through the season. They haven't figured it out. What makes you think they're going to figure it out? You can't keep saying, well, they're going to figure it out.
We're halfway through the season, and we're 500. All I want from Winnipeg,
worse than 500.
All I want from Winnipeg is to make the playoffs, because I really believe with that veteran group, if they make the playoffs, even if they squeeze in at third place, they can get something done. And
I'm-
that's why I'm okay with me. Like the Florida Panthers, right? Let's be honest here. The Florida Panthers had a mediocre season. Look at Sam Bennett. He had 22 goals last year in the season. Mediocre, okay? Mediocre season equals Stanley Cup. I think Winnipeg could be the same thing.
No.
How's it going, Hamilton Sports Central?
Oh, what's up, brother?
Hello.
Just so our viewers do know, we had Mr. Morford and I had a sit down with Rick from Hamilton Sports Central, and talking about CFL fans fight cancer. So that interview will be up on all of our platforms tomorrow around lunchtime. So when I don't know what you guys have for lunch on a Saturday. Me, it's usually a turkey sandwich on
Well, it's Friday, bud.
Friday. It's still going to be that turkey sandwich on an English muffin.
Friday.
Lane, if you start singing Rebecca Black, I will boot you from this room.
At least it's not as bad as a grandpa that had peanut butter, cheese. Sorry, what was it? Peanut butter, bologna, and raisin bread.
Yummy.
That was a bad sandwich.
So what I'm curious about,
Blue bars are a bad sandwich.
They are, and I'm curious to see, you got to remember
moldy bread.
All of a sudden, let's say Ottawa wins this game, Toronto hypothetically loses, Montreal hypothetically loses. Ottawa's right back into pushing for second in the East. Never mind just trying to make sure BC or Winnipeg doesn't get the crossover.
Right, yeah.
Like the Ottawa, now mind you, I think Winnipeg's defense will have a bit more of a pushback than Toronto's did. I don't expect them to get all these huge kick returns every single kick return. This will be a harder game for Winnipeg to put up 46 points. I mean, Winnipeg definitely won't put up 46 points. You watch now that I said that, Claros is going to have his one game where he throws up like 6 TDs to fix his touchdown interception ratio. That's what he did last year. He had one game against Edmonton where he just exploded and made his stats look very inflated.
And I think Winnipeg has that game left in them. I think they have that one game halfway through the year that can change the year around.
Look, they're also without Tyrell Bonds, who is huge in that corner position, and instead you're moving in your guy who's normally a kick returner. So that's tough. And back here to Hamilton Sports Central, and Winnipeg needs to use their run game or they lose. I do agree with that. There. I have said this during Winnipeg's entire Grey Cup runs. That team is built on offensive line, defensive line, and running game.
Yeah.
And for some reason, they seem to forget that and try to air it out a little too much at times. And actually, I think Winnipeg needs to just accept the receiving core is not what it used to be in Winnipeg. You know what? You don't have Kenny Lawler anymore. You don't have Drew Wolotarski. You don't have Polkey Wilson. You don't.
Don Jones not even there.
I love Nick Dembski, but he is getting older, and he's not the type of guy that you hit on explosive plays all the time. He's more of your Swiss Army knife with your jet sweeps and your quick screen passes, and he can still easily put up 100 yards in a game very quietly. But it's a tough one for Winnipeg, and I really feel for the Blue Bombers, this is a must win.
I agree with that.
Again, if you all of a sudden, Edmonton could be getting on a bit of a roll as an Argo fan. I hope they don't. I'm just calling it. But Edmonton could be getting on a bit of a roll. Winnipeg, I really feel, is on a downward trend. I have not liked even the games that they've won. I don't like the way they're playing.
For sure, I can see that. Yeah, they won some tight games that they easily could have lost.
And that's where it's why when you see power rankings, they don't necessarily just go off records, because Winnipeg is winning some very losable games. I would call them.
Oh, for sure.
And you have teams like Edmonton losing very winnable games. So
I wouldn't even be surprised if Winnipeg loses tonight. If Edmonton's right back in the playoff picture.
Well, I mean, for Edmonton, right? And that'll be a huge game for Edmonton tomorrow as they take on the Argos. That's a do or die game for both teams almost, right?
Yeah.
I'd argue it's a do or die game almost more for Toronto than it is for Edmonton, especially if Ottawa wins tonight, which I'm not going to tell you my pick yet because I'm still hemming and hawing. But I think for Winnipeg, the goal has to be to slow down Addison, Hardy, and Brown. Those are the three guys that have been burning teams this year.
Lewis too.
Yeah.
Weirdly, you know what though? Weirdly enough, Eugene Lewis is more just used in the red zone, so you got to watch him there. But I don't think Ottawa uses Eugene Lewis properly still. And I'm going to say the same thing I say about Zach Collaros to Drew Brown. Just blitz the crap out of him. When you blitz Drew Brown, he's not as effective because
he's a little more mobile than Coeros, isn't he?
He is, but he's not effective. He's not as effective under pressure. And let's be honest, I don't think Winnipeg has the ability to pressure 3 and drop the rest and cover anymore. So I think they just need to pressure and let Willie Jefferson be Willie Jefferson. When you pressure like that and Willie can get free, because if you overpressure, then you can't double team Jefferson. Or if you do, then it's going to leave someone else on that D line open. Then I think Winnipeg needs some chaos. And I think their best chance to cause chaos is from the defensive line and from the running game with maybe some jet sweeps and, again, getting Nick Dembski a little more involved. Maybe we see Dylan Mitchell get involved more on the offense. I don't know why it's taken Winnipeg so long to use him in this lineup, but I will say for Winnipeg, it is going to help them having a sold-out crowd at Princess Auto Stadium, sold out again. I will give the Winnipeg fans a lot of credit. They keep showing up no matter how good or bad that team's playing.
And that's the thing I can't let go. Everyone's like, why am I always going for Winnipeg? Winnipeg has made 5 Grey Cups in a row. For hosting the Grey Cup this year, it didn't make any sense if they didn't spend up to the cap. They want to be a dynasty team. They gotta win 3 of 6 Grey Cups, in my opinion, to be a dynasty team. I think this is your last year, your last shot, because Zach Collaros is older, Willie Jefferson's older. We don't know with different drama, Brady Oliveira, he's going to go. This is your last shot to be labeled as a dynasty, in my opinion. And I just don't see this team after 5 years blowing that. I really don't. What's that? Ooh. Hello, this is Toppers. Like a large pepperoni, please.
And just the answer, we have a question about the Streakers app in the comments here. If you're looking for the custom prop section, if you go into the Streakers Island Showdown, at least it's showing up on my phone, so that's interesting if it's not on yours. So if you can maybe send me a DM on that, and we'll try to get that resolved. But it is showing our custom props in there for Eugene Lewis with a touchdown, Brady Oliveira, 88-plus yards, Collaros 250 yards, no interceptions, combined score 48-plus, Drew Brown 275 and 2 TDs. So there are props in there, at least on my end when I'm checking that. So thank you very much, Hamilton Sports Central, for bringing that in. And you can also, if you're not into the prop side as well, if you just go into a live CFL heads up, you can also just pick in on the games that are happening this week. So there are plenty of options in the app.
Mm-hmm. Tons of good options there. 3 unique game modes. So just to go over them quickly, you got your rivalry when you challenge one person to one prop or one game, and whoever wins that one thing gets the victory. You got a heads up where you challenge one person to 309 multiple custom props and custom games. Whoever gets the best out of 309 gets the victory. And then you got a sports booth. Sports booth is really unique because you can challenge up to 10 people into the same game. 309 games and props. So, yeah, 10. That's right. Yeah, it's 10. And, that's why, we're still a very small team. And apologize a little behind on the app side today, but we were recording commercials and stuff explaining more what the app can do and what the game modes are and all that kind of thing. So we got them loaded in the afternoon today. So we apologize for the delay, but
videos were so fire, it literally made my battery overheat in my camera. That's actually a fact. I need a new battery for my Canon M50. If anyone wants to sell one used to me, that'd be great. But looking into this game a little bit more here, I'm curious to what you guys think here about. Do you think Zach Collaros is going to be a little more motivated going against his protege and Drew Brown, who arguably right now Drew Brown's a better quarterback than Zach Collaros? So I think that's got to motivate Zach. No, do you think that's going to make him? I think it's going to make him a bit hungrier.
That's why I picked Winnipeg, because I think Zach Collaros is going to turn around this game against his rookie quarterback.
Yeah, I think Winnipeg will play better tonight. They play better at home, and interestingly enough, Drew Brown did have some struggles with some of the noise at BMO. There was a few false starts, and you could see he was going like this because he couldn't get the play call. look, no disrespect to BMO Field, as Dan and I go all the time. If you're having troubles there, you're going to really have troubles in Winnipeg, because Winnipeg, I think, is at least double the times louder. I mean, you're putting in double the times of fans, right? So again, not to be just calling it as it is. And I could see Drew Brown potentially struggling with that noise. We've also seen him at times struggle in Saskatchewan and in Hamilton for the noise. And again, Winnipeg's the loudest stadium in the league, in my opinion, right now, from what I can tell. I think Hamilton and Saskatchewan are very close seconds.
Montreal's
not as loud now, since they're not allowed to have the hand air horns.
I get that, but we're still pretty loud. And one quick little side note, Jacob, I want to add, speaking of BMO, you did mention for next home game is Toronto versus BC at 3:00. And it's a really unique game, because when you get a ticket to the Argos, you get a concert ticket to the Blue Rodeo, and you get a CNE ticket with that football ticket. So
no, Blue Rodeo is separate.
Bobby?
Blue Rodeo is separate. You get it as a 3 combo. I looked into it. You have to buy a Blue Rodeo ticket.
Oh,
that's poor marketing by the Toronto Argos then, because by their marketing, it looks like it's
very poor marketing.
You know what? That's something we will reach out to our season ticket holder rep and get back to you guys on that, just to find out how that's actually going to work.
Because
I was looking into it, to be honest. I actually was looking into it.
They are opening the upper deck for that game.
That's what I was going to say.
On the broadcast side. So they're projecting anywhere from 18 to 21,000 fans there, and that's good for Toronto. So I want to ask you guys, though, when you're looking at this, do you think Winnipeg has to try to maybe create some turnovers defensively? Because, I mean, their past defense hasn't been great, and we know Ottawa loves to attack through the air. So do you guys see Winnipeg just trying to create some chaos?
100%.
But, Lane, I know Dan thinks Winnipeg will win. I know you don't. Do you think Winnipeg has the ability to cause that defensive chaos? Now, if you double-team Willie Jefferson, do they have as many other – I don't know if they have the same weapons they used to.
It's hard to say, right? Like, I don't know. I just don't believe in this Winnipeg team, I'll be honest. I think Ottawa's just going to win this game. I know they have the weapons. We've seen it all season. This team just really hasn't figured it out. I don't think they're going to figure it out tonight. I think Ottawa's going to come in hungry, wanting to win, knowing their season's on the line, and kind of take a victory here.
It's interesting, depending on some of the bet lines are saying Ottawa's the favorite. Some of the bet lines are saying Winnipeg's the favorite. The beautiful thing is with streakers, you don't need no bet lines. You can just pick who you want. But I really think this game for Winnipeg, they have to keep it low scoring. For Ottawa, they want to try to make this a shootout, because I don't think Winnipeg can compete in a shootout against Ottawa, and I don't think Ottawa can compete with Winnipeg in a run heavy, pound the ground time of possession game. William Stanback and Daniel Onababoye are both solid running backs. They're not Brady Oliveira when he gets on a roll, and we haven't seen a game yet this year where Brady Oliveira just takes it over. So he's due. Yeah. He is due for that. But you know what? This is a big game going in for these teams with where we are at in the standings. Especially when you're looking at this matchup in general, because these are two teams that are fighting really fighting for their lives in the playoff race.
Yeah,
because you have the BC Lions, who have really in the West. As much as Dan, I can't stand his take saying BC could be the worst team in the West, because I think that's ridiculous. But you're looking here.
Well, Edmonton's playing really good now.
Winnipeg potentially could be fighting for a crossover position like BC has been of late. Because if you look here, right, you have Ottawa right now who would be looking on the outside looking in because of the BC Lions. But, I mean, if Winnipeg continues to struggle of the way they have been of late, well, all of a sudden this really could flip the script. So this is a big game for both teams.
Well, that's what I was going to say, Ed. I'm sorry. I'm going to apologize to Wick in advance from Hamilton Sports Podcast, because we were just talking about this last night. But besides the Saskatchewan this year, no one's really pulling away with the being best in the league and dominating.
I don't think Saskatchewan's pulling away at all. Quick shout out to Key. Enjoyed church, Key. And you know what? Thank you
Hello,
for saying
Keith.
hi. And we will be on for a post-game show. So don't you worry. You'll get all your Streakers Island content you need because you need it in the day. But Dan, I'm more on, the side of Saskatchewan is not pulling away. You have Calgary, who's 2 points behind them, who's winning the season series. You have Hamilton 2 points behind them.
Well, that's a good point.
I disagree with you saying that Saskatchewan's pulling ahead.
But Saskatchewan's only played 8 games. That's the way I'm looking at it.
But Dan,
so they played at least amount of games and were still winning the league.
Dan, I wouldn't call that pulling away yet. I don't think they have enough of a lead for me to be like, yeah, they're really starting to run away with it. Because I'm sorry, I also feel the Saskatchewan Roughriders are not as good as their record. Trevor Harris is a completion percentage heavy quarterback. If you are able to get a lead on Winnipeg early, which is Saskatchewan early, I think you can actually take down the Riders. And I hate to say it, but Trevor Harris has already had injury problems this year. We don't know if he'll stay healthy for the full year. And no disrespect to Jake Maier. If Jake Maier comes in, we've seen what happened to Montreal when Davis Alexander got hurt. Now they're DO double dog.
Jake Maier really surprised me because when he did come in for Atlanta, it was only one game. But when he did come in that one game, he looked really good. I've never been a huge Jake Maier believer, but you put him on a different team like Saskatchewan, he looked really solid. He wasn't kind of like Trevor Harris, to be honest. He wasn't flashy. It wasn't a big flip the field play, but he managed the clock very well. He got his consistent 10 and 15-yard plays. He was very accurate. He got, 195 yards and won the game.
I get that, Dan, but just the take that's a lot of people have the same take as you that Saskatchewan's running away with the league, and I just don't agree because their one loss, they got absolutely.
Okay, I guess instead of I said running away, yeah, the ones I see have the most potential one away.
I honestly think right now it's a 3-horse race between Saskatchewan, Calgary, and Hamilton for who will finish top of the league.
Yeah,
I don't see Montreal, Winnipeg, BC, Edmonton, Ottawa, Toronto anywhere close. But I do see Calgary before VA got hurt. Everyone was saying they were running away with it. Right. And again, Calgary, when they played Saskatchewan earlier in the year, it was a gong show. Like Saskatchewan just couldn't compete. So the thing is with Saskatchewan, if they fall behind early, they're not a team that's built to put points up in bunches. They're more of a team that's built to march their way down the field. So it is where versus Calgary or Hamilton, they're built to put points up in bunches. Like Vernon Adams Jr. has done it with no receiving core.
Yeah,
you got to look at it. Most of his receivers have been injured, and VA still put up big numbers. Bo Levi Mitchell, a couple years ago, everybody thought he was cooked, and all of a sudden, I think he's the front runner to win MOP this year. Not Trevor Harris. I think it's Bo Levi Mitchell. But for both of these teams that are playing today, I just think they both gotta, especially Winnipeg. I think Winnipeg just has to find a way to create chaos. I think they need, and I would say defensive chaos. Because if you can start getting into some 2-and-outs in good field position with a really solid kick returner, maybe that's your recipe to success. As we saw against Toronto, the one game they did beat Toronto. It was more the special teams that got the job done. And if your defense can hold serve, your offense can just not poop the bed or hashtag Amber Heard, then all of a sudden, maybe you know what, that gives Winnipeg a shot. And I know Ottawa's played a couple of really good games in a row.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about even where I have Ottawa in our power rankings going into this week. They're a team that their differential was still really bad. They're not great defending. They're statistically over the last few years, they've not been good on the road. They've been a little better on the road this year compared to last year, but they're still not a team that's good on the road. And I really feel Winnipeg is the hardest barn to play in the league.
Well, that's what I was going to try to say before we got into Saskatchewan, Lance. This year is very unique because we're halfway through the year. And we got Saskatchewan 7-1. And fortunately, we got the Argos that are 2-7. Besides those two teams, everyone else in the middle, they're all pretty well even records. I'm not saying they're even teams. I'm not saying they're evenly playing as well as bad as the other. I think there are some teams with those records that are playing very good, like Edmonton. I think there are some teams like Winnipeg that has the records playing very bad. But you can kind of see this league is still very tight and very packed, which before, like last year, for example, when it was halfway through, we're starting to see, okay, this is the dominant team in the East. This is the dominant team in the West. These other teams are not going to do anything. And this year, it could be anyone's game, really. So that's what I find interesting.
Well, especially with the way Montreal is kind of ever since Alexander's been hurt, they've just been bad. And
yeah,
it's a big surprising thing to me for Montreal when you talk about that race, which is what's given Ottawa and Toronto and Edmonton still some life, is the fact that Montreal's defense has not been able to hold serve. Like I said, I think Winnipeg's defense will need to do tonight to have a shot. But I do agree with you, Dan. I do think that maybe even take away some of the records. I think the best team can lose to the worst team on any given week.
100%. Yeah.
Just
I mean, look at even the Argos at 2-7. Like, okay,
the
worst
team in the league. I hate to say that, but they are. But I could see Toronto going into Saskatchewan and finding a way to get a W.
Exactly. That's what I was trying to say. Yeah.
But I do want to start to go over we're about to get in the kickoff here. So, Mr. Dashko, who are you taking tonight? Are you taking the Ottawa RedBacks or the Winnipeg Blue Bombers?
Ooh, I'm taking the Ottawa RedBacks, baby. They're running it back 3 in a row. Watch out.
Mr. Morfor?
I'm sticking to my guns. I'm going with Winnipeg. I think this is a classic teacher versus student, and I think the teacher's going to prove that he's not going to have his phone on mute, and he wants to try to save the season.
I think the teacher's going to get a substitute teacher at this point.
I think we're going to see a low-scoring Winnipeg victory. I think Winnipeg.
Low score. I agree with that.
I think Winnipeg will find a way to get this one done, but I also don't think Lane is out to lunch by saying the Ottawa RedBacks, because I think Ottawa has been playing at a high level.
No, I'm not at the lunch. It's 8:30 at night. Why would I be having lunch?
Lane, the other day I had lunch at like 9 o'clock at night, so anything is possible. Anything is possible.
Sounds like more of a dinner.
When Timothy goes to school.
But it is time we wrap up the show for this evening. So thank you very much for watching the Streakers On Podcast Live Edition. We will be back with a post-game show between this one. And during that show, we'll also tee up Toronto versus Edmonton. Because I'm not sure I know I can't do a pregame show tomorrow. So I'm sorry, guys. I have other commitments. Everyone wants a piece of the self-proclaimed sports analyst. But I am the self-proclaimed sports analyst. Been joined by Mr. More for Your Money.
Woo!
And Lane Dashko. We'll see you guys later tonight.
Bye-bye.
Everyone wants me.